Hi everyone, quick notes. I'm making this video also for me, so I have a better memory of these projects in case I need to do something similar. So this isn't a classic YouTube video with entertaining and stuff. Also, sorry for my English, I'm Italian and I'm just trying my best. One last thing, all of the project was made by hand, no CNC or anything printed was used, so let's get into the video. Let's start with the in-depth specs. The fretboard, it's divided in two parts, a very small one for the first string with a long scale and a larger one for the other 11 fretted strings with a thumb fretted. The radius, it's what I call a half radius. I really recommend this kind of radius on guitars with many strings, because it consists in making the radius for the thinner strings part only, and this allows your hand to reach the lower strings more easily. So question, why does the first string need a long scale single fretboard? Cause to tune it in G up to E, it's better to have a longer scale. And most important, cause this fretboard has many frets and some of them are really high pitched. So the longer the scale, the better. One last thing, the single piece bridge for this string, it's actually wood shaped to better warm the sound of these high-pitched notes. Let's talk about the neck now. Very thick, U-shaped, with a strong birchwood support. Now, why is that? We have to start from the weight of this guitar. Believe me, the wood choice for the neck was a very hard part. I've ended up choosing the Okume because its strength-weight ratio is phenomenal, and since its strength is barely what this guitar needs, I had to add a birchwood support. If the neck would be done with some standard light guitar wood, I would end up breaking the neck. If I will choose a standard high-strength guitar wood, the guitar will be too heavy. Luckily, I managed to make a comfortable neck overall, and I'm really satisfied with it. Now the headstock. Of course, you can see how I had not many choice for the shape of this monstrosity, and that's actually the bridge of the harp string. There was no space to fit another 4 bass mechanics, so the only choice here was the other way. Okay, let's now talk about the guitar's shape. The pedal part has a really comfortable shape for heavy guitars, because you can use your leg to better have a good position, and you can play the guitar by sitting it on one leg or the other one, without compromising the position or the comfortability. The harp part is very long for one main reason, having the right position while standing up. The bodywood choice was done thinking about a wood that has a good structure strength even in thinner parts, and also to be a light wood. The yellow pine was the best choice, and I know all of these woods doesn't tell you anything, cause it's not the classic mahogany, maple, ash and so on, but I didn't have much choice than read many technical documentation to find the best wood with the best strength-weight ratio and other bunch of technical stuff. And guess what? You can't just choose a standard wood, buy, work it and guitar done with a project like this. Okay, now let's talk about the electronics. The pickups. Hot rails, yes, sound weird, yeah? But these little monsters really shines on this project. These pickups doesn't have an impactful personality like many legendary pickups. This means less problem, doesn't have too much high frequencies, not too many low ends. By being really balanced, they were ultimately the best choice. And for the combination, I've managed to make a circuit that allows you to have one humbucker, splittable from series to parallel, and many other various combinations. This splittable pickup, it's the bridge one for the bass part and the neck one for the high part. All of that done with a 5-way switches import type. There were no online circuits that allow you to split an humbucker between series and parallel with 2 humbucker configuration and 1 5-way switch import type. So I had to come up with my own design, and of course one switch is for the high strings and one for the low strings. The 2 5-ways are combined to mix up together the sound, so both switches will affect the output of the other one to balance the sound. And for the harp, a single series humbucker. And finally, let's talk about the pedals. The idea here was having many sounds and distortion, overdrives, boosts, even fuzz, everything you can get with few pedals. This is where compressor then follows in the chain overdrive and distortion comes. With this 3 pedals configuration, you can have as many sounds you can dream. And if that's not enough, follows these 3 in the chain, a reverb and delay, cause are essential in rhythmic and solo sounds, and just to make sure we are not missing anything, a 7 bands EQ. This last pedal allow you to be more precise to reach exactly the sound you're searching for. Also, a quick note about reverb and delay. With this pedal you can have both reverb alone, delay alone, both together, and you can also manage the mix time, etc. for both effects, with also the tap tempo function. This was just a perfect choice that I fell in love with. Here we go, we are done with the first part, and now the second part is all about the building problems and solutions. You can imagine in 2 years how many different things I had to face to complete this guitar, but you can't imagine how many problems I had. I've seriously thought about quitting this project at least 2 times. The first project came in my mind while thinking a guitar for me actually. I just wanted something incredible and no limits. I just wanted to play with as many strings I want, as many bass notes for arpeggio I want, and this idea of having the knobs, pedals near my hand. So just to having the project on paper was actually very hard. And once I did it, I had to change many things. Basically, everything in this project gave me problems. Once I figured out I wanted to sell this guitar and making public these crazy projects, I had a bad thought, making my own pickups. So for the first time, after researching and studying how to make pickups from some magnets and thin copper wire, I've managed to hand-wound my first pair of pickups. 2 thick 11 strings humbuckers. And don't get me wrong, sounds good, okay, but I had some huge issue with the space between the bridge and the neck. So with the project almost finished, I had to get rid of my first pickups and go for a new idea, end up being those hot rails. Actually, in my Ultimate Stain project, I used my own hand-wound pickups, but those were the second pair I've done, and of course this pair were much better in everything, and I end up selling them and having a great response. Speaking about problems, the pedals. Even the pedals were different number too, and all of them should have been on the pedal side altogether. When I realized they won't fit, I had to put the EQ on the other side, and it was hard to find a spot that can fit the pedal and doesn't mess with your hand. Luckily there was just the right space, and also the pedals. When I were about to finish, I had to switch things up again. And another thing I had to learn was electronics. It's not just, hey, connect the pedals and you're done. Absolutely not. From the thickness of the wires to where they have to pass, everything was a new world for me. In the end, the best solution was a thick wire for the grounding that goes from under the harp bridge to the guitar bridge through the pedal section, switches, and finally to the jack, bringing with it the EQ grounding, then all the pedals grounding and all the switches cases. Different way into the wood, there are all the pickup signal along with the EQ that goes into the pedal chain. Everything soldered in silver in different ways for different pedals input outputs. I know it sounds complicated, but believe me, it's even more than you think. And of course, these pedals need a power source, so I thought, well, just put a battery. After researching, the choice was a drum battery. After making all the projecting on paper and by the necessary, I've seen the drum battery expand. This was caused by the battery filling with hydrogen gas, and this hint was enough for me to think, hey, this guitar can kill someone. Let's get rid of all the battery and recharge the system. And after weeks, I've managed to find a rare and expensive way to have a female DC jack that can be mounted and with soldering pins, along with a 3A power supply. And so along with the power input, I've installed a send and return system that I've discovered won't work only at project finished. and so I had to make myself a new circuit to switch on and off the pedals and the send and return. So you can have pedals on or off, but when you connect the send and return, you have to switch the pedals to off, or else it will cause a feedback into the guitar, back into the amp, and into the send again, and so on. Enough with electronics, let's talk about the headstock. The big problem here was having a piece of wood hard enough to support 4 bass strings, shaped perfectly to line up the harp and mounted with thick screw into the headstock without touching any mechanics. This was a really hard task, cause it required high precision, hard wood, and it could be done one time only. Single mistake will throw the entire neck and fretboard into the garbage. Don't worry, I will lose my mind. I've managed to do everything without problems, and now you can't actually see the screws cause I had to cast the screws head off. Now for the double fretboard, the first thought was one fretboard only, but there was no way I could fit the frets where I wanted. So the only solution was to make 2 fretboards and attach them together. It seems easy until you realize a fretboard is not a regular shape. It's narrow on the nut part and is larger on the bridge part, and this rule had to apply for the very small single string fretboard. Now let's talk about the shape. I know this is a very large guitar, it's normal for all of those strings, but if I could go back, I will make it the shape even larger, cause the space to fit all of those electronics and stuff was just about right, but even if it was harder, I'm happy with that. Cause I managed to have a guitar as light it can be and without structural problems. And talking about structural problems, the biggest one. The moment I realized the neck needed a support, and the support had to be shaped so it won't be uncomfortable with the neck, so it could mount on the guitar with strong screw without touching cables, bridge, pickups, and it has to be very, very strong. With birchwood, I think I managed to have the perfect support, and it's actually very nice to see too. A bit steampunk, but I'm really happy with it. And let's finish with the harp mechanics. Here too, the space was just right enough, so it will fit and won't give problems to your leg when you sit the guitar on your left leg. It's useless to repeat that I had many problems with the shape of this cavity, but luckily, once on paper, it was an easier task. So that's it. Unluckily, I can't really say everything happened in this project, cause the video will be too long. But for future projects, I may do more small videos while into the action. So just in case you are here in this video, remember to subscribe and ring the bell, or follow me on the social you use the most. Link in description as usual, and bye everyone, and finally goodbye to what I initially called the craziest guitar 2019.